If the Willie Lynch letter is authentic, then the spell of self-hate should have been lifted by now. But here we are, 2020, still doing shit that's detrimental to the state of black existence, all for the sake of keeping it a buck. You ever notice white people, they can fight each other like lions versus leopards and still find a way to come together at the end of the day and play golf. On the green, men will meet under this white umbrella and they swing iron between their legs like it's their love muscle. But their only objective is to knock a little white bull off the face of the earth, symbolically. It probably started as a smear campaign, turned into a game, but now it's a sport. Thinking back, the only truth that I was ever taught in public school was math. Everything else was white people's side of the story. This is why history is classified as his story. All the flavor that black people gave this country to help make it great is always erased. And it makes it look like we fell from the sky and we landed into slavery. And then we jumped up and marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge for the right to sit in the same toilet seat as white people. That's because racism is a religion in America. Religion is a Ponzi scheme. And one good way to tell you're going through a rough neighborhood is when you see a lot of churches. There's usually two or three on one block. The block is always lopsided. And this is precarious in its foundation. Because you give money to the church, but it don't circulate. The pastor got a smile that's fake, and everybody in the community is crying broke, but the church is the only institution that's stacking cake. But there are levels to this shit. Think about it. When immigrants go to another country, they do it for a better way of life, right? But if that's the case, you can't say the same thing about my ancestors. A better way of life was built off their back. In fact, they came to this country the way convicts go to court. Their hands and feet were fettered to the ground, down in the bowels of a slave ship, like cheap fish, saltwater seasick and suffocating from the stench of their own excrement. Now, wait a minute. Immigrants don't travel like this. They was being treated like hostages and getting smoked like sausages in a tight ship shipped across the earth for two purposes: to supply comfort and wealth for European nations. But even inside of a race, there's a race. Because the white people that come in last is described as trash and used as buffers to keep black people in their place. But on any given day, they can shave and bathe and put on a suit and tie. They fit right back into the upper crust of society. And we spend so much time looking up to them because we spend too much time looking down on each other. But then again, there are levels to this shit. It was Tricky Dick, Richard Nissen, that classified single black mothers as welfare queens. He championed this message to make it seem like all of America's economical problems were black folks' fault. But how so? And what I don't get is how school books always find a way to omit how black people was brought to this country against their will and used as free labor to fulfill white people's dream of life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. The black family was property, and property was changed to happiness. And of course, you'd be happy too if you was given land as far as the eye can see and employees that you never had to pay. And every day they work from Kansas City morning to Kansas City night, harvesting rice, picking cotton, chopping tobacco, digging ditches, building bridges, uprooting trees, and a list of backbreaking chores that had to be accomplished at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, all they had to eat and drink was some water from a creek and some fucking fatback. I grew up in Harlem on a cobblestone street across the street from this mansion. Now, this mansion sat on this plantation overlooking the colonial housing projects. This was around 1973. I remember vividly watching a black and white TV that colored black people lazy, and this is crazy because hard work was called nigger work. And white people did not believe in getting their hands dirty in the presence of black people because that would have leveled the playing field. And equality wasn't heard of back then. And today it's hypocritical. You want to know why it's hypocritical? How can we play tit for tat in a capitalistic society and we don't own nothing, we don't control nothing, nobody depends on us for anything except the prison industrial system? In my opinion, this is one of the reasons that public schools look like prisons. It's a form of conditioning and social engineering. I was in IS-10 and 154 before the metal detectors came.